Much appreciated. And thank you for joining us for today's media availability with Austin FC head coach Josh Wolff. You guys know the drill. Please utilize the raise hand function to indicate that you'd like to ask a question. We have about 20 to 30 minutes, so we'll get to as many questions as possible. Let's start with Tyler Feldman from KVUE today. Tyler, go ahead.
Hey, Josh, it's obviously been a tough season, but I think it's important for fans to understand, and I think they do based on how many people are still coming out, that Rome wasn't built in a day. It doesn't just, you don't just snap your fingers and boom, you're an undefeated, perfect team. So what maybe is your message about Rome not being built in a day to this fan base that's obviously cares so much?
Yeah, well, first, we're very appreciative of the fan base and their support every game is tremendous. And again, how they pushed us the last 25 minutes of that game was fantastic. And they've been there all year on the road and at home. Again, I think what you're leading to is exactly that. We come in as a team that's building in our building blocks. And I think there's been a lot of progress, throughout the year. And obviously we've hit certainly a path and a pattern here that's been difficult to overcome and difficult to come out of. But there has been a lot of good. We've certainly had, some adversity along the way with being on the road, certainly some injuries, key injuries. And again, those are part and parcel. Those are adversities that are going to, you're going to face as a team. And I think, a little more so because we are a new team. We don't have the depth there built out yet, but that's what we recognize we got to continue to build and layer in. Because I think our identity, the way that we play and certainly the emotion that our guys consistently show, barring a few poor performances, has been pretty good. And that growth and our way of playing is, I think, fairly recognizable and certainly entertaining. And lately we've seen ourselves be able to score a good amount of goals, which we've done throughout the year, creating chances, but I think we scored more. The issue now becomes the ability to prevent goals and to grind and to compete. And the real piece is to problem solve when things do break down in the game. And we've faced that a few times in the last 5 games. And that's really challenged us. The Dallas game, certainly the Houston game from the start, and this last game. I think those were emotional hits, certainly to us as players, our fan base as well, and to our staff. But we got to get better because of it and learn from those experiences. And again, we got 9 games left, and that's kind of what I've presented to these guys. Let's make this 9-game season as much as we can and create some goals in there and really focus on those things individually and collectively could give us the best chance to win games and obviously build momentum as this season goes on.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Tyler. We'll go to Chris Bills with the striker. Chris.
Thanks, Ryan. Hi, Josh. Did you guys have did you guys go through any appeal process this week with the Alex Ring, the handball in the box, or at least if not, did you get any more clarity on the decision that was made there?
Again, on the do we go to pro and do we file complaints? Yes. Again, it's days after the game. What will it really equate to, other than again building and accruing complaints that we've already made in numerous situations? And it is what it is. I mean, we can't change what happened, but yes, we do go and put that in front of them and talk about it. And, we've talked about it as a group, obviously with Claudio, Anthony, everybody gets involved in this process, but, on the field with our fourth, we were told if it hits his leg, then his hand, no, it's not a handball. And then Alex hears from the ref that, it hit his arm, thus it's a handball. And he was given a yellow card, which again, why these things happen, how they happen, it's difficult to understand all of that. But of course we put in our notice of refute. And again, it's just that, and it's left at that.
Right. I've been curious if for some reason that yellow card would be rescinded. Obviously he got the other yellow and yeah.
I don't think any of that can be. Reds can be rescinded. I don't think yellows can be rescinded.
Okay. So, and then it seems like you've been sort of searching for the right combination in the midfield, particularly in that number 6 role with Alex playing further up the field, which has obviously led to some good productivity up there. But, with Danny, subbing out at halftime last game, sure. Sebastian comes in. It seemed like there were a few errors there as well. Where are you in that process of finding the right combo there?
Yeah, I think, again, we've moved around, when we play with 1 6 or 2 6s. I mean, there's times where we build up with Pepe and Alex next to each other, but Alex has given us good quality in the attack, finishing attacks, creating goals, scoring goals. And Pepe gives us a layer of fluidity and mobility with the ball. And he's 20 years old. He's learning how to deal with the league. He's learning what that responsibility feels like. And of course, that comes with hiccups. And, those hiccups can be magnified for him and Sebastian for that matter. And, I think, as I mentioned after the game for Pepe, he had 3 fouls that all 3 of them could have been yellows. And he got 1 in 2 minutes. And the other 2 were very much egregious, just like the other one. And you could hear their fourth saying the same thing. So do I wait to make that change? Of course, in hindsight, maybe we could have, but at what point does he get another foul and we lose him? But Sebastian comes in and gives us some layer of quality as well. Obviously, he's had some mistakes as well that have obviously led to some chances for the opponent or goals for the opponent. And that's not solely on him. There's still the reaction of the group, but we're always trying to utilize different personnel based on what the opponent is giving us. But I think what we also realized was Alex gives us a good calm and ability to arrive in the box. He and Sebastian Driussi have shared that responsibility really well, and now those front 5 have generated a good amount of chance. And I think we've realized and recognized more goals. And does Alex give us more experience in ball winning as a 6? Probably. And then now, what does that look like in the pockets? Both Sebastian and Alex do a really good job turning in the pockets, finding pathways to get forward, but also for their own ability to get in front of goal. So, I like having Alex up there, but I also recognize we do need another guy, and whether it's he or another person in the future that can help solidify that area of the field, because it is important. And Pepe's had good moments, so I'm not gonna shy away that he's developing and he's getting better at it. And some days we need Alex and Sebastian to come lower to help him. And I think those things will continue to grow and develop.
I guess there's, the other question that brings up is Tomas Pochettino and finding the right space for him on the field. And I think he's mentioned in some interviews that he feels like his best position, or a position that he feels comfortable in, is the 6. And, I don't know if that's a double pivot. Some of that might've got lost in translation. Forgive my Spanish, but like how have you had those conversations with him? And is that something you considered is playing him at that spot?
Yeah, I think, and we've used him as, we played with two 10s or 2 8s, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's when he's been pretty good, because it does allow him to move into wide areas. It allows him to move lower. He plays with a bit more risk when he's in certain spaces. So right in front of the back line, there's certainly some level of risk that you'll want to minimize. But we want him to get on the ball. We want him to find spaces. And I think more than anything, that's kind of what he is. He's much more fluid and mobile in an unpredictable way, which for me as a coach becomes a little challenging. But we built in some things to help with that. When he does pull wide, how our fullback can move up, our winger can move inside. Again, our center mid can adjust to that. So we try to find ways. His spirit and his attitude lately has been very good. We've had a lot more communication. And again, I want him to play a big role in these last 9 games, and utilizing him in different spaces is exactly what we're going to do.
Thanks, Chris. We'll go to Eric Goodman. Eric.
Hey, Josh, first of all, any update on Matt Boozler's availability for this weekend? I know concussions are tricky. You got to be very careful with those, but how's he feeling lately?
He won't be available, but I think there's been, some progress along the way. But, as I know, and as I think we've all come to know with the concussions, it's a very thorough process, and you got to keep moving through each phase of recovery smoothly, and in order to get to that final stage where you can get back out on the field. So it's been a little slow, and obviously, we'll take as much time as needed. His health is the most important. He's been in the training room, at least at the training center, the last few days, which is great to see. And certainly we're hoping he can continue to progress.
And then with Julio and Johan, both of them have looked, really strong when playing next to Matt. It seems like, Matt kind of can sweep up, get the positioning correct when they get pulled out. Together, you guys have obviously struggled, given up, I think it's like a full quarter, like a third of your goals have come in the last 10 games since Matt's been out. What do you think is the key to helping those two get comfortable playing together as a duo?
Well, I think it's playing together. I mean, it's obviously Matt is a very calm. He's 35 years old. He's seen a lot. He's played a lot of games. He has a calming effect on Johan. He has a calming effect on Julio. But right now that, these are our two center backs. Freddie's a third center back. That's, maybe he sees some minutes, but it's a challenging league to step into. And Julio and Johan have navigated that well in some moments. And obviously as you said, we've taken some goals. That's not just on those two guys. I mean, when we're defensively sound and we have good defensive structure, we've been tough to break down. We've given up a number of goals in transition, and some of that's individual, and obviously it's collective as well. But again, I think Johan's showing the improvements as well. He's got a physicality is fairly obvious, and his comfort with the ball has grown. It's certainly not perfect. And Julio's on the other side, where he's quite comfortable with the ball. And again, his level of athleticism is one built around positioning and timing, and now that's how he navigates games. But it's giving up goals isn't about just those back two. It's about the entire group, and our back line, our goalie, certainly how we prevent things in front of that. But they're going to continue to see minutes. We got to be mindful. We got 3 games, and I don't know that I've done it where it's a Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. So they're going to come real quick with certainly short turnover in between. And we got to navigate that. So, do we play with a back 3? Does Freddie start? Does Alex play in the back? Nicky playing in the back? We got to find something to be responsible. These guys probably can't play 90 minutes 3 times in 7 days, or, we risk some problems there. So, there are center backs right now, and I see them playing significant minutes in the next 3 games. We just got to be mindful of how we just distribute the minutes with others.
Thanks, Eric. We have time for a couple more. Mark Turner, last word on soccer. Mark?
Take as long as you guys want. I apologize for being late. That's totally my fault, obviously.
Thanks, Ryan. Great. Well, I've got 15 questions for you then, Coach.
Perfect.
Actually, I just have a couple, but I'm going to get mental on you today.
Go mental.
All right. So results-wise, you're going through your roughest stretch of the season right now, and obviously that has an impact on the players and kind of their mentality. And of course, I know you have coaching staff and an entire staff rallying around the players and helping them with self-belief and staying focused and so on. Who does that for you? How do you deal with issues with self-belief? Thinking you're the right guy, that you can get the team through this. How do you deal with that yourself?
I open it up to our staff as well. I talk with Claudio. I mean, I've had a couple conversations with Anthony over the last 3 or 4 days. I have other friends that are coaches that, coaches, administrators, anybody that's been in this space to help poke questions and obviously get support, lean on for advice. And, it's getting through any stretch as a player or a coach is difficult, but you take on the challenge. The first thing is to try to minimize making the same mistakes twice and then learning from that. And I think, we have a lot of dialogue as a staff, and we certainly have a lot of dialogue with our players, and we're going to get through this together, just as we got into this together. And it's, having players and staff and myself with, growth mindset, to the willingness to recognize things and now learn from them and continue to move forward. I think those are the things that I'll continue to go back to, our process and how do we refine that? How do we make that better? And, keep communicating. What I say in difficult moments, it's really important, communicating with ownership, communicating with Claudio, communicating with the players, the staff, everybody, because you still have to take in information to make good decisions and be in a space that you're cognizant of everything that's going on, but ultimately what's going to help this team have confidence, belief, and now go out and perform and execute.
Do you take it home with you, Coach?
Say that again.
Do you take it home with you? Like when there's a defeat, is your wife like, oh God, I guess they're dreaming for you? It's
tough not to take it home. I think I've had some candid moments on here, and it's rough when it's rough. It's nice when it's nice, but this is what you sign up for, and you got to keep that perspective. And I stay out of certain spaces that I know would probably deter from my productivity. So I focus on the controllables, and being a good leader, being a good father and parent when I'm around my family, which is managing all of life's needs is challenging as a coach, certainly when you're in this moment, but it's important to do your best with that as well. And it is what it is. But this is my focus. This has been my focus, since I got this job, and we're going to get it right. We have a good group. We play good soccer. We're in certainly a bad run. But the spirit and the willingness is there. Our ability to play is there. We got to correct some things, and it might not happen all this year. We got to bring in some additions and make some adjustments for next year. But we want to maximize these last 9 games, and that's what I'm focusing on now. And Sunday is our first step in maximizing that.
Just a quick comment on the schedule. I know you're a first-year coach, so you haven't known anything different, but there's been a lot of comment over the last kind of few weeks and months about how frustrating the schedule's been this year, obviously with the impact of COVID and having to focus exclusively on your conference with the exception of a couple of games. Has that been disappointing for you? Does it make it more challenging, or does it kind of make it easier because you're very familiar with the opposition by now?
Well, I think the congestion becomes challenging, but there's always been congestion from, I've been in this league since 98. And, I'd say that's wavered over the years, but COVID certainly plays a role in it. Again, situations like Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, I don't know that I've done that one in my existence in the league. I'm sure other teams have, but those weeks become challenging, but all teams are facing it. So, I'm not going to get on my soapbox and complain about it. We all have to deal with it. And, we are a young team, a new team. So we don't have the depth built in maybe that some other teams have. So that's where it becomes we don't have an academy team to kind of really help bring in a couple numbers or even help some of the training that you'd be able to build in. So, or layer in. So those are some things that I think going forward will benefit from, but there's challenges. Every team faces them. And I'm not going to, I'm not one for excuses, and I'm not going to start now.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Mark. Jorge Iturralda. Jorge?
Hi, Josh. How are you?
Great. How are you, Jorge?
Very, very good. Thank you. I have a question. I had a conversation yesterday, and I know that Fagundes Diego asked you not to be on the initial 11 on Saturday. Honestly, we didn't know anything about that until, and the question is, because sometimes we see changes on the starting 11, and everybody blames you. Everybody blames you. We don't know exactly if you have this kind of stuff. I don't know if you have the same thing with Cecilio, like he wasn't 100% to play. But do you guys? I want to know your opinion of how to deal with this kind of personal situation of each people to make your starting 11, but also where we can find kind of communication before the game, so we don't have to blame on everything on Wolff. Yeah.
Well, you can keep blaming Wolff. You're fine. No, that's an easy narrative. That's easy. You guys can keep doing that. No, it's a good point. I'd be more than happy to sit down with media. We were talking about it. How do we carve out time to help talk about, why we have certain rosters and why we make certain decisions, or why I make certain decisions in game, or whether that's a 15-minute, 30-minute something throughout the week. I'm totally open to that. Some sort of chalk talk, anything throughout the week to help engagement with fans, with media, even if it's fan led. I'm sure there's disappointment and anger and all those things, and I understand that. Diego, Cecilia, again, when you have 3 games in a week and you have this physical output, that Diego's been our most consistent performer. He's been our best player, and he called me the day before and told me, we had already had that dialogue, and I knew he was in a fatigued state. He's pouring water on his head, laying on the stairs. When I brought him out of the LFC, he was shattered. But that's what Diego is. He puts in everything all the time. And if we had 10 more Diegos, we may be in a different space right now. But he was shattered, and he said, I told him to be honest, and he took a day, and he called me the next day and said, I think it's best if I don't start. And I go, no problem, but expect to play. I'm going to need you. You can come in and make an impact, and whether it was at halftime or 30 minutes. So that's, for me, it's always having that conversation with player, and certainly with Cecilio at moments. With other guys, these guys are human beings. They can't just go 90 minutes, take a couple of days off, 90 minutes. It's exhausting. And the last thing I want to do is put someone in a place where they risk injury. But we also need a level of freshness. We also need a level of quality. So all those things play a role in it. And what it does is it obviously gives other players opportunity to also perform. But with Diego and Cecilio coming off, it also gives us quality to bring something into the second half or as needed. Musa needs to play. He needs to gain minutes. Obviously that can help get Cecilio into a position that's he's more comfortable with as well. But, game by game, we're trying to do things in a way, or I'd say I'm trying to do things in a way, again, that put our players in the best position to succeed. And obviously for us to have good results. And that's the starting point for everything. And the last thing I want to do is jeopardize players based on, fatigue and health and risk injury. And, we've done that a couple of times this year, mainly when we are in this 3 games in a week. It's, it would be irresponsible to just keep running these guys into the ground. And, some of them can tolerate it. Diego, again, has been one of our best performers. He covers the most ground, the most high speed. So, he was at a fatigue state, and I think it made sense. And he knew he was obviously aware of it. We talked about it, and he told me that was a space that he was comfortable in.
Now, this obviously, it seems like you are absorbing all the everything, and sometimes you defend your players. Now, the question that I have, and it's just like, do you have the same situation back in Dallas and Frisco when you went there, that you have to change half of the team, or it was just your decision of the plan you have for the game?
Yeah, again, I think when you have a series of 3 games in a week, that you have to take some, even now, we haven't played 1 game yet, but we are trying to take into account where our guys are, what each game is going to look like. Is it home or away? The Dallas one was challenging. We played Houston, Dallas, 2 derbies back to back. So that did provide challenges, but it's trying to do that in a sensible manner. And, again, having our best players on the field is obviously what we want the most, what's going to give us the best chance to win a game. But, there are moments where we can't just keep putting those guys out there. So how do we have some division of a handful of, our guys, and then a couple guys that can put in the work, and maybe we introduce, our DPs that was kind of the idea against Dallas. To give us some stability, one, based on what the opponent was, but also physically where our guys were at. And these things vary. But to your point, it'd be good. I mean, to have that kind of communication with yourself or media and fan, some version of talk, that I'm never opposed to. I think it's educational to hear it from you guys, and maybe it helps, give perspective on what we're facing. So, and
also we can tell the people, because we when we see that kind of stuff, we don't really know one Cecilio and one Fagundes that were the best players on the game before. They're not there. We think it's because it's a Josh decision. Thank you, Josh.
No, thank you. It's a great question. It's a great point. And, I can obviously be more open with it, but as you guys ask these questions, I think I try to take a very candid, honest approach. I'm not trying to hide too many things, and, if fault lies with me, it lies with me, and that's okay.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks, Jorge. Let's close up today's session with Chris Bills. Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, last one from me today. I just thought this was a good one to throw in about the Leagues Cup announcement yesterday. Just what this competition, the new format, having it be a month long, and obviously the close connection between, the Austin fan base, but also the proximity. How seriously you think that you guys are going to take this competition moving forward?
I think quite seriously. I think all the teams in our league will take that quite seriously. I think I was talking with Anthony today I think it's a very unique relationship that Liga MX and MLS will have, because what you have with it, the United States and Mexico is this constant pushing one another to get better. And obviously Liga MX has more quality and has been at the forefront of competition when these 2 leagues take shape and compete against one another. But it has certainly pushed our league in a real strong way, and pushed our youth development in a long way. And thus we now compete with Mexico and again, at an international level, that's extremely competitive. And now these leagues are actually lining up a little bit more often in a very competitive manner. I'd still say it certainly leans more into Mexico's direction, but we're making huge strides with quality, with development, certainly our fan base and engagement. And those 2 things, I think, again, are very good for both leagues, because our sport has grown tremendously over the years, and there's a huge Liga MX following in this country. And I think this will only help that. I think that competitive nature that both the United States and Mexico have in this sport, in this space, are going to be great. And, I think a lot of teams will take it, especially the opportunity to qualify for Champions League. And I'm sure there's some bonus money in it for teams and for players. So I think it's a great situation, and we'll look forward to being part of it.
Do you have any connections throughout your career, like any times you were maybe considering playing in Mexico, any offers or just, relationships you have there? We talked about Jorge Campos a little bit, but is there anything there?
I don't think I was really well liked by the fan base back in the day. But Jorge Campos, I always have a soft spot for. But it's a great league. It's a competitive league, and we see it plenty. We see it when we watch it. We see it in our competitions when they cross over. But I think it's good to see our American players, domestic players that have gone down there and perform. Obviously, good for Marcus Beasley to see him do it as well. It's been good, but it's a good. It'll be a great competition, I think, for all teams and for MLS in particular.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh.
You bet.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Coach. Thank you, everyone, for being in attendance today. We'll send around a recording of today's session.